All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Mr. Wosu, and we are really excited because this is the second episode of our Snapchat series for Black History Month. And so we're talking with Mr. Thabiti Stevens. I'm going to let him introduce himself in just a second. You should already be able to see him on the screen. But yeah, these are just brief interviews, brief conversations to really get at the root of how people are getting to the success that they're experiencing, what route they took, and specifically some of the stuff that they did in middle school and high school that really helped ensure their success later on. All right, so the hope is that you're able to pick up a piece of information that you can add to your future puzzle to create life, whatever career experience, whatever academic experience that you want for yourself. All right, so at the end of the day, we want you to use the information. We can put it in front of you all day, but if you don't apply it, if you don't use it, if you don't take it and even share it with somebody else to help them out, then at the end of the day, it's just information. You have to make use of it. All right. So without any further ado, thank you all for joining. I'm going to throw it to Mr. Stevens. So could you just introduce yourself a little bit for the audience?
Yeah, certainly. Well, first of all, thank you all for having me. As you mentioned, my name is Tabiti Stevens. I'm 28 years old, born and raised Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, I used to say like I'm pretty close to you guys' age, but I guess 28 is kind of old to you all now. So, but whatever. But yeah, born and raised Atlanta, Georgia. Went to Inman Middle School, Grady High School. Ended up going to Morehouse College. After I graduated Morehouse College. Started working for Steve Harvey. Worked my way up the chains there. Prior to working for Steve Harvey, while I was in the day after I graduated high school, I started a shoe manufacturing company. So I was manufacturing, producing my own canvas and leather shoes. Every pair of shoes we sold, we provide meals to women and children's shelters nationwide. That did really well. But like I said, now I'm a chief of staff and I'm the international business development manager for Steve Harvey personally and Steve Harvey Global. So I hope that's a dope introduction. And I'm super cool and, I'll be fresh.
Yeah, man, I get that vibe. And yeah, I think that was an effective introduction. So look, first of all, I want to say that my wife did go to Grady, so I PK all day. Is that what y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. So yeah, man, thank you for coming on. It sounds like you have a wealth of experience, and so I'm looking forward to this conversation. And I think our students and staff are too. So, tell us a little bit more about what it took to start a business, right? What mindset did you pick up earlier on that really helps you do things that some folks never ever do? Some people dream about doing their entire lives, but they never do. Not only did you start a business, but you use the proceeds from that business to help other people in need. So tell us a little bit about the mindsets that helped you do that.
Certainly. So, like I said, I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm probably more relatable than all you students on here. Than I mean, class clown. I got in trouble, played all the sports. Like I said, I'm fresh. I think so at least. But I'm pretty normal. Like got in trouble in school, hung out with the wrong type of people. I did, everything that some of you all are probably doing, right? But what I will say is I was always inspired to want to be a business person. I was always inspired by people like I saw Richie Rich. I know that movie's way past you guys today, but Richie Rich was essentially this kid who took over his father's business. And I was like, man, that's like super cool. Like one day I would like to own a business. So in middle school, we had programs like Junior Achievement. I don't know if you all still have these type of programs now, but we had programs at my school that were introductions to business and introductions to business people, or even how you all are doing the Zoom with me now. It was, introductions to people who look like me, who were close to my age, who were into the same type of things that I was into. And that kind of opened the door and opened up my mind and my ideology to the thought process that, man, like I can do this too if they're doing it. I had never physically seen or knew any type of business people, other than my family. A lot of people in my family are educators, but in middle school, I utilized the programs that, whatever one of my teachers would provide. And I know that sounds lame, right? Because of course it is, but trust me, like the after school programs and these type of programs, especially if it's something that you're really interested in, can really be beneficial, especially at an early age. because things I learned in middle school, I then was able to apply to the business courses and things that I took in high school, where, my teachers then took an interest in my, business development, ideas and the places that I wanted to go. And then once they picked up that I had an interest in business, it piqued their interest. And then they introduced us to, they started introducing me to other business people and opportunities. And that kind of led to them championing me to, certain opportunities. So that's kind of how I would say I utilize like middle school and high school to leverage what I wanted to do in business.
Okay. So what I hear you saying really is that everything kind of built on itself, right? Everything kind of compounded and accumulated. So it added and multiplied. You made one decision that helped you get to the next step. And then once you were there, you made another decision that helped you get to the next step. And all of the things that you did in like at every step were built up by the things that you did at the previous steps. And one of the main things was really taking advantage of some of the opportunities that were provided to you right at your middle school.
Yeah, definitely. So like for me, I was the candy guy, right? Like I needed money. I wanted to buy shoes. Shoes were expensive. I needed money. So I went to the gas station, started off going to the gas station, buying, Snickers, selling them for $1. Eventually went to Costco and I was the candy guy. And then that became banned at my school. But every business, that I started, I took those proceeds and I started a t-shirt making company, right? Like, hey, I can't sell candy at school, but maybe I can sell t-shirts, right? So it's definitely a building process, and it's also a learning process, right? But it's also like I wasn't a person who made excuses for like why I couldn't be in business, right? Because just because I never knew anybody in business, and just because I was 12, I didn't make that, an excuse. And I feel like a lot of times people use these excuses for why we can't do something because I'm young, because I don't know anybody. And then what, like the main thing I would recommend for everyone at you all's age is like me personally, teachers probably going to improve this statement. Like me personally, all my friends in middle school and high school were stupid. Like we were smart grade wise, but like all of us would get together and be like, listen, we'll all get together and make a decision that I look back on and be like, yeah, that probably wasn't that smart, right? So I would tell my friends all the time, like, man, I'm gonna start a shoe company. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And they used to always be like, why do you want to do that? Do you know anyone who's ever started a shoe company? No one like you. You're, 15 years old. How are you gonna do a shoe company, right? But at the time, that's because they had never seen anybody do it. And then I had two choices. I could have listened to them and, stop believing in my dream. Or I can listen to my teachers who said, hey, that was a pretty good idea. I don't know anybody who makes shoes, but let me introduce you to this accountant. And he didn't help me with anything on the design process, but he taught me debits and credits and kind of, led to another introduction and another introduction and another introduction, you know?
Man, yeah. And I think that really ties nicely into the idea of the puzzle pieces, man, because there may be that one piece that you're looking for, and you have all of these pieces that don't look like you need them, right? But someone connects you with that piece that you've been missing, and you didn't even know you were missing it sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the other thing I heard you say that was powerful is, listening to the right people. And so it may be your peers, it may be your teachers, there may be other adults in your life who are telling you things that are motivational, encouraging, and they may not know exactly what to do to help you with a specific thing, but they may know someone that can connect you with that information. So I think a lot of our students and a lot of, frankly, people in general struggle with the self-talk because we end up taking in what other people say. And so if we're not around the right people, we're saying to ourselves negative things that we've heard other people say about us. So there was something inside of you, though, that helped you connect with the positive thing and made you want to listen to people who were telling you, hey, you can do this. Hey, I think that's a great idea. Even if no one's heard of it, even if no one that looks like you has done it before, it sounds pretty cool. Let me connect you with somebody that can help. So what helped you do that, right? What helped you figure out who the right voices to listen to were and who the wrong voices to listen to were?
I think that everyone has, good judgment at some point, but I feel like oftentimes we don't listen to our judgment because we don't think it's cool. And for a lot of you all, like I have my younger siblings are 13 or 14, so I'm trying to talk to them the same way I'm talking to you all right now. Like I try to relate and make sure y'all understand. Like I get where you all are coming from, but a lot of the times, like we listen just to the wrong people, and then one negative comment Like people don't understand the power of words, and you might not understand the power of your words, right? Me just telling you like I like your idea or I think that's cool might spark you to go put another 2 to 3 weeks worth of work into a project. Me telling you that I think that's stupid could kill the multi-billion-dollar, idea. Like someone made millions of dollars off of Snuggie, and that's just a blanket with armholes. And I'm pretty sure people told them that was a bad idea, but luckily, like they listened to themselves, right? So it's all about. At the end of the day, I feel like you know what you really want to do, and you're gonna listen to the wrong people. But once you listen and you do the wrong thing, just try to get out of that trend. You can always start over. It's never too late to start over or pick something new.
Man, facts. So couple things I want to tie in, right? So one of the things I heard you say is that you just kind of follow your interests. You didn't think that, hey, I'm gonna create this plan so that one day I'm gonna become chief of staff for Steve Harvey. That was not a part of the
Man,
initial plan. Yeah, you know what I mean? So how did you tie in the reality that, hey man, I really want some money. I'm trying to buy shoes. I like shoes. Let me do something that will help me get to where I want to go. And also, all of the stuff that you're talking about so far is really powerful. But I think a lot of people have great ideas. A lot of people want to do lots of things, but we struggle with execution. And I say we because myself included, right?
yeah.
So how do we follow through? And how did you, as a matter of fact, in that middle school to high school period, like what were some things that helped you execute, helped you follow through, and helped you connect the stuff that you actually were succeeding at with all the things you really, really wanted to do?
I think for follow through, you just have to want it, man. Like at the end of the day, we all have the same amount of time in the day, right? So we all have the same 24 hours. Are you gonna wake up at 7 o'clock or are you gonna wake up at 9 o'clock? Y'all are in school and y'all aren't gonna understand this. Y'all probably won't understand it until you get to college or your first real job. But they're just little decisions you can make in the day that can completely change the trajectory of your life and trajectory of the things that you want to do. And like the one thing I can't stress to you guys most is like this is gonna sound super lame. I know. I promise, but like just doing do what you have to do, right? Like no one gets to go through life doing what they want to do. Like nobody. I promise you, not me, not any LeBron James, not Steve Harvey. No one gets to go through life doing what they want to do. So you have to do what you have to do, right? And then it gives you a few days on the weekend to do what you want to do, but you have to do that for a reason. So when your teachers are telling you like, hey, you have to do your work, you have to do your homework, just do the work, man. Like, listen, I got kicked out of class every day. I'm not recommending you doing that, but I did it after I did my work. Like, like just do what you're supposed to do. So yeah, I was getting on punishment, but I had a 4.0, so it doesn't like you just have to do what you want supposed to do. And then another thing, like for follow through, like mentorship for me was the most important thing. When I first started my business and I was you all's age, I worked at like 7 small owned businesses in my neighborhood. I worked at the bakery. I learned, depreciation. I worked at the, cost of goods, so I worked at the art shop, learned depreciation, worked at the clothing store, learned sales and discounts, like just try to find someone who can help guide you towards whatever you want to do. And even if it's not business, if it's accounting, if it's cybersecurity, if it's esports, you want to be a gamer, like you all have so many opportunities. Do you want to be a content creator? Like there's so many people. And I feel like I'm blessed because of my industry to work with all these different business facets, but there's nothing I never knew that all these classes and courses and things that I was doing in middle school would supply me with the skill set to do what I'm doing now. But it was just me doing what I had to do.
Man, I think that's a really, really powerful point. And so there are some things that you just have to do, right? Because of the laws of the land and the laws of nature, success doesn't come unless you do certain things. So like if you wanted to plant a seed and grow a tree, no matter how hard you worked, if you wanted that tree to come through tomorrow, it's not going to happen. And so there are things that you're going to have to make sure you're doing, habits on a daily basis that help get you to where you need to go. And what I hear Mr. Stevens saying is that you got to do it. There's not a way around some of this stuff. And everyone has things that they are obligated to do, whether you're LeBron James, whether you are a content creator on YouTube, regardless, there are certain things that have to happen so that you can do the other stuff. I think a really powerful quote is, do what you have to do now so you can do what you want to do later. And that's what I really heard you saying. So look, y'all, another thing that I heard him saying was that he got kicked out of class like some of you do, but it happened after he finished his work, right? He still kept the main thing. And he was clear that he's not advocating for you to get kicked out of class, but he was saying that regardless, there are still things that you have to do. And if you don't get those things done, life is going to be harder for you. All right. So man, I definitely appreciate this so far. I wanna really begin to shift gears a little bit because I want us to talk about excellence and Black excellence specifically, since this is a Black History Month. And so part of Black culture, a large part of Black culture is definitely community. And so I'm wondering, who are some of the people that really helped support you on to like support you getting to where you are along the journey, the hard times where you didn't know what the next step looked like, those moments where you had to get put on punishment because you made a bad decision. Like, who were the people that helped ensure that whether you liked it or not, they were going to help give you the game to get to where you need to go?
Are you talking about like in high school and middle school, or like college and my professional life?
Man, why don't we start with middle and high, and then if there are any other key people after that you want to highlight, then please do.
Definitely. So like one thing I like to emphasize when I talk to young adults, like all you all are, is that it takes years to build your reputation. And what I say about your reputation isn't that you can fight, or isn't that you're good at basketball, or you can rap, or that you're good at video games. What I mean is the reputation is what people say about you in the room when you're not there, right? That's the most important thing I think in life. So how you treat people and how people think of you and look at you when you're not in the room. And the reason I say that is because having a champion is probably one of the most important things that's never talked about in the career paths of successful people. And what I mean by a champion is you need someone who has some bravado, some pull, some weight in the conversation to bring you up in front of other important people and be willing to put their reputation on the line for something that you're about to do. So y'all just sit there, let that sink in. I don't know if that was over y'all head, but y'all know, let that sink in, right? And then I'm gonna go on with what I'm about to say. So in middle school, I would say the assistant principal who I didn't like because I was always in trouble because I'm funny and I had to get these jokes off. He was somebody as I got older. Like I didn't appreciate it in middle school, but just people who would, you know, I sound so lame, but like he'd actually call my parents, and I'll go home that man, he's so square calling my mom and my parents and all this. But he was telling them stuff that was really true. Like, man, Tabiti has so much potential. Oh, he's gambling in the bathroom, or he's hanging with the wrong kids at school and stuff like that. So I'll say assistant principal, my business development director, my junior achievement professor in high school. My counselors are really big once I got to high school and they realized, I was super talented and super smart. And, they signed, counselors make your schedule. So I was trying to be in the regular classes with my friends to get these jokes off. And they put me in, privileged courses, but that's cool because, it introduced me to a whole other world of people and opportunities and industries. And then in my college life, I'll say, there's certain professors and industries. I mean, like, just try to find you a champion. I'm not talking about brown nose. I'm not talking about be a teacher's pet. Just find somebody you think is cool, like, or someone who you can look at them and be like, I wouldn't mind having the type of life that they have. I wouldn't mind having the type of car that they have or the type of relationship they have with certain people. Like, just try to find, someone, or just be yourself. Like, you don't have to search, but a champion is important. Seriously.
Man, let me ask you this. Did you ever have to go seek them out, or were they more likely to just take you under their wing?
I think a champion mentor, but I think they're two different things. So a mentor, I always have to, you can find some, but you can sink some out, right? And a mentor doesn't have to be in your specific field. I mentor a lot of young adults now, and a lot of them don't want to be in business, right? But mentorship doesn't have to always be business. Mentorship could just be someone telling them like, hey, bro, like this is the wrong thing to do. I mentor a lot of young men, and the thing that I found out, they listen to me the most when I tell them how to, whatever is going to happen is going to help them get the girl that they really want, because every young boy is or partner that they actually really want, So everybody's trying to do something for happiness and, for whatever, is their goal. So I try to relate to them that way. So you can search out your mentor. And a lot of times, what I tell people is you have to put yourself in areas where you think your mentor will be, right? So for example, I wanted to be in business. I would go to whatever business seminar forum I can find. And another gym key, I don't know what you want to call it because I'm dropping these hits for y'all, but write this down. While you're young is the best time to seek help because everybody wants to help a young person. No one says no to a young person. People look at me and tell me I'm young. I'm young because I am. But even me, like people still want to help me. The older you get, the less inclined people are to help you. And people want to help you while you're young. No one's going to tell a 13-year-old no. If someone was like, yo, I want to be you in 10 years, I'm not going to be like, no. I'm like, man, come on. Like, shoot. Yeah, let's do it. What you first thing you're going to do, let's get this fit right. Like people want to see themselves and they want to help take a part in in someone's success. Like it gives them, it gives the works of value. Like no one's going to say no. So take advantage of your youth. And as far as a champion, just be yourself. Like be the person who you really are. Someone's gonna see it. Someone's gonna, if you're kind, you don't have to overly be kind. If you're quiet, you don't have to try to be an outspoken person. Just let your work or whatever you're doing speak for itself.
Thanks. So that definitely is an approach because a lot of people have different approaches to life, but I can honestly say that there's a difference between fitting in and belonging. And a lot of times when you try really hard to fit in, you end up changing to someone that you don't even recognize. And so if you can find somebody that accepts you for who you are and really encourage you to become more of that person and a better version of that person, then I think that's super helpful. Also, y'all are about to, a lot of y'all, well, everyone's going to high school, right? Everyone's going to high school sooner or later. And one thing that you all really need to work on, and I hear Tabiti, Mr. Stevens really talking about this.
You call me Thabiti, man. Mr. Stevens is my dad.
Well, that is Tabiti. I'm very culturally responsive, right? So Tabiti is saying that you want to make sure that you have positive relationships with the right adults in your life. And so with your counselors reaching out for help before there's a problem is helpful. Talking to your teachers before there is a problem is helpful. Before you find out that you're struggling in your classes in the first 4.5 weeks, you already want to have the positive relationships with your teacher because in the adults in your life, because a lot of times they can put you on game and tell you exactly what you need to do. So you're not even in that, and you're not drowning in the first place, right? You don't need to be saved because you already know how to swim, or you already got your boat, or whatever it is. And so when you get to high school, your school counselor is going to be heavily involved in your scheduling, and you want to make sure that you have a good relationship with them as well. So let's go ahead and talk through a few more things, right? Because we got about what, 8 minutes left. So look, y'all, if y'all have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I want to give you an opportunity to kind of speak on, in this pursuit of excellence as a young Black man, knowing that, racism is real, knowing that people will treat you differently because of how you show up in the world and what you look like, knowing that there may be opportunities that other people get that you don't, and being able to run your race and look over and see other people who aren't as fast as you, who may not be as great as you, but still are getting support that you didn't get, right? How do you navigate that? How have you been able to be successful in the midst of all of that, on top of all the normal regular stressors that everyone deals with in life? What has really helped you do that? And what advice do you have for the students who are trying to get better and also trying to make things better overall, so there's not as much of the negative stuff in the world in the first place?
Wow. Super deep question. Wasn't expecting that on the chat. The middle school and high school students. But the reality and the severity of the situation is very serious. I am a Black African American male here from Atlanta, Georgia, so experienced a lot of stuff firsthand. The first thing I'm gonna say is not everyone is racist, and you always have to remember that. And the main thing, if you're a person who thinks everyone is against you for being Black, you're wrong, and that's actually racist in itself. So the first thing that you all have to understand is like judge every person individually. Like, and you can make your assumptions, and then sometimes assumptions can also still be wrong even after you've made them. So that's the first thing I want to say. Not everyone is racist, but what you do have to realize is there are some systemic, a lot of systemic racism in our society, and a lot of things that we're dealing with. Myself as African American male, listen, I know no matter what, and even I'm guilty of doing this sometimes, but if you see a group of Black kids on the street, whatever, like you might cross the street or you might tense up or whatever, and it's not nothing, but it's just a reality. I know what it is. I know when I get pulled over by the police, all right, cool, I need to be super yes sir, no sir. Yes, ma'am. It's cool. You know that certain opportunities won't get presented, but a lot of the racism that you all receive is not even when you're there, right? You're not going to know is when you're there. It might be your name on a contract. It might be an application, right? But the thing that I always tell people is like, listen, it's there and it's going to be there, and we have to deal with it, right? We have so many advantages and things that are advantage that our ancestors and people fought for us to have the right to vote, women the right to own bank account, for us to own our own homes. There's so many things that like you all are probably so aloof to that have changed within the last 30 to 40 years, right? But the fact of the matter is you are gonna have to work harder, right? And that it's that. But look at history. There's so many successful African Americans who are uber successful, from Madam C.J. Walker to Herman Russell here in Atlanta. Ben Carson, when he did the first heart surgery, like there are things and paths in our way, but that's just use that for your greatness. Like I don't believe in making excuses, right? Because at the end of the day, all an excuse is giving yourself a reason to not succeed. Otherwise, you just didn't do it. Let's keep moving. So racism's out there. You just have to remember everyone's not racist. You are going to deal with racist people, but just try to remain yourself. Like I deal with racism every day. I lived in Chicago and I lived on North Lakeshore Drive. I don't know if any of y'all know what that's at, but it's a pretty prominent area. And I was in front of my house one day and someone's like, "What are you doing over here in this neighborhood?" And I'm like, "I'm walking home." And he was at the bus stop, right? And it's like I could let that frustrate me and I can go off on him and tell him off, but at the end of the day, like what's that's gonna do for me? Like I just got to keep living my life. I know I'm gonna deal with that. All right, cool. Like, I feel like racism's out here. We just have to figure out how to live in this world with it. You have to be smarter. You have to work 2 times harder, and that's just the fact of life. I mean, women have get paid less than men, and they still have to deal with it and work with it. And so the fact of the matter is, like, we just have to deal with it. Like, if you be the light that you want to be in the world, like that's how I feel. Like if I'm one nice person, I can help one other person. Like we can try to change it. It's gonna take all of us, but you just have to understand it's really out there in the world. So I'm pretty sure I don't know if that's the answer that you wanted. I don't know if I have enough time, but like it's out here, man. You gotta be greater. You gotta be great, and just remember, a lot of people made a lot of sacrifices for these things that you take for granted. Even just going to the same schools and using the same restrooms and being able to own jobs, and for me to be able to work. For there to even be a Steve Harvey, there had to be a Bill Cosby, there had to be a Richard Pryor, before that. So, just remember a lot of people sacrificed for a lot of these things that we're doing. So yes, we're still dealing with this racism, but we're dealing with the 100th of what our ancestors and people before us dealt with. So if they can make it, we can easily do the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know if there was an answer that I was looking for, but I think that was a great one regardless. And I appreciate the insight. The reality is that there are going to be things that you face and challenges that you face, and there are going to be unique challenges that you face because of how you show up in the world. At the same time, how are you going to still be successful? That's the question. And what are you going to do to ensure that you work with other people to make things better for yourself and those who come after you? And I think that's probably one of the biggest, strongest messages of Black History Month is really looking at the past, understanding the problems that existed and how folks overcame them, and then working to make sure that the future is brighter than the past was. So yeah, man, I think that was a dope answer. I really, appreciate you for coming on today. Y'all are welcome to, ask any questions. We got a couple minutes left.
I got y'all to 10 o'clock, so we don't have to end at 9:55 unless y'all want to. But
they got to go to their next class. But
cool. I got to go to work. I'm trying to help y'all out, man. Try to get y'all to skip a little class.
But if you're okay with it, I would love to drop your contact information so that folks can reach out.
Yep. Hey, Instagram, Tabiti. Y'all hit me on there, and then depending on what y'all say, I can give y'all a more professional email. But a lot of times y'all just want to play. I got PS5, PS4, I play the game, but my Instagram is just Tabiti, man. Y'all got any questions about business, entertainment, anything going on in the world?
What if you don't have Instagram?
If you don't have an Instagram, how
you put it in the chat?
I'll give the teacher has my email, and then just email him, and then he'll give it to you. He'll disseminate the serious people. Pass on the serious people to me.
What about Twitter? Do you have a Twitter?
I don't. I'm gonna get on Twitter. I'm gonna get on Twitter today.
Yeah, you young.
I got a LinkedIn. I had a Twitter guy.
What about
yeah.
the
So
college?
at THA.
What was it like?
Mr. Wosu, can he speak to really quickly? I know it's time to go, but I know he said he went to Morehouse, and I'm an HBCU grad as well. And so I just, with it being Black History Month, just how that Morehouse experience kind of, that HBCU experience kind of guided you to get into where you are.
Oh man.
So before you respond to that, y'all look, make sure you respond to the feedback survey that is in the chat. If you have to go to your next class, we understand. Teachers, we appreciate you working with us. This is a powerful question. We're going to end after it. But yeah, please go ahead and fill out that survey and then type any questions that y'all have in the chat, and I'll make sure that Tabiti. But yeah, go ahead, man.
The chat is disabled.
So yeah, I went to Morehouse College, HBCU. I think it's the #1 HBCU in the world. I went there from 2010 to 2014. I was president of the scholarship. I studied in business. I think going to Morehouse for me was one of the greatest decisions I ever made in my life. I would never change it for the world. It's an all-male school, so don't take it the wrong way, because there's an all-girl school right across the street, and there's a school that's 75% women behind the back street, right? So we're all good, but it's focused on what I wanted to do. I met so many people who are game changers and moving the world right now just from my class. My class had 200 salutatorians, 100 and something valedictorians, and made it super competitive. I love the environment. It surrounded me with people who prepare me for being a Black man in this world, for the challenges and things that I have to face now. And it prepared me for anything that I've ever done in life. And I'll say the network is something that I would never trade. You will be surprised at how many boardrooms that I'm in when I meet someone who went to school with me or graduated with me. And then that's just always another champion. They want to figure out a way to get the deal done. And then we're all so cool, kind of, if you like me. And we be fresh. Go to my Instagram. I'm fresh. Y'all want to add me on PSN? I need some help making my 2K player. I suck.
What's your PSN? What's your PSN?
PSN BITI1 BITI1. I'll get that to your teacher too. Help me win some games, y'all. I suck.
My big brother can do
You get
that.
21 or 20.
Is that Mr. Payne?
All right, y'all. So look, maybe we can have Tabiti back. It looks like there's a lot of other questions and comments.
I'd love to come back, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, man, appreciate you. And look, remember, ask for help when you need it, even if it's 2K or it's in the classroom, all right?
I'm not scared to ask for help,
man. My brother can help you. He won like a lot of games.
Well, I need help.
All right, y'all.
All right, y'all.
Yo, you like anime?
I'll come back whenever you need me.
All you have to do is type Amy Shooter Jazz, and then he can help you.
Okay, I appreciate that because I suck.
All right, y'all.
He's good at wrestling and Madden.
All right, y'all.
You might have to have 2K.
Everybody, I can't hear nothing.
No, what?
Yeah, I'm about to mute everybody. Look, y'all. So thank you again. Y'all have a great rest of the day. And Mr. Tabiti Stevens, thank you for joining us. Y'all take care.